Admiral Zektar stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the largest military fleet in galactic history prepare for battle. 10,000 warships stretched across space in perfect formation. Ships from every council species floated in, the darkness like a metal constellation. Energy weapons charged and defensive shields activated. The combined firepower could destroy entire star systems. The human solar system lay ahead of them. Long-range sensors showed primitive chemical rocket ships and simple orbital platforms. The humans appeared to have perhaps 50 vessels total compared to the Council's 10,000. It should have been a quick victory, but Zektar felt uneasy. The humans had already proven they possessed weapons the Council did not understand. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, "We are receiving a transmission from the human homeworld. They wish to communicate before hostilities begin." "Put it through," Zektar ordered. He was curious to hear what the primitive species would say when facing overwhelming force. The main screen activated and showed a human female in military uniform. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of Earth's newest orbital defense platform. Behind her, Zektar could see human weapons that looked crude but functional. Large metal tubes surrounded by copper coils and power cables. "I am Admiral Lisa, Carter speaking for humanity," she said calmly. "You have brought an impressive fleet to our system, Admiral Zektar, but you should know that we are not the same species you bullied 6 months ago." Zektar's mandibles clicked with amusement. "Admiral, Carter, you face the combined might of 200 civilizations. Surrender your magnetic weapon technology and submit to Council authority. This is your final warning." Lisa smiled, and Zektar noticed the expression did not look friendly. "Admiral Zektar, humanity offers you a counter-proposal. Turn your fleet around and leave our system immediately. Remove all restrictions from the Galactic Accords. Allow every species to develop technology freely. Do this, and we will not fire on your ships." The alien admiral buzzed with laughter. "You threaten 10,000 warships with 50 primitive vessels? Admiral Carter, your bravery is admirable, but your tactics are suicidal." "We'll see," Lisa replied. "You have 60 seconds to begin withdrawing or we will open fire. I suggest you use that time to reconsider your position." The transmission ended. Zektar looked around his bridge where alien officers worked at control stations. The humans were either incredibly brave or completely insane. Either way, they would be dead within the hour. "All ships prepare for assault," Zektar ordered. "Primary targets are the orbital platforms with the magnetic weapons. Secondary targets are population centers on the planet's surface. We will show the galaxy what happens to species that defy the Council." Lisa stood on her command platform and watched the alien fleet begin its attack approach. 60 human vessels faced 10,000 Council ships. The odds were impossible, but Lisa had learned something important during the past 3 weeks. Sometimes impossible odds just meant you had to think differently. "All human ships and platforms, this is Admiral Carter," she announced on the fleet communication channel. "You know the plan. Wait for my signal, then fire everything we have. Today we're not just fighting for humanity. We're fighting for every enslaved species in the galaxy." Captain Jake Morrison commanded the Independence, which hung hidden behind Earth's moon. His ship carried the most powerful railgun humanity had ever built. "Standing by, Admiral. The equalizer is charged and ready to fire." Lieutenant Colonel Beth Parker commanded a defense platform in high orbit around Earth. Her weapons were cruder than the Independence's railgun, but still deadly at near light speed. "Platform Alpha ready to engage. We have clear targeting solutions." On the enemy flagship, Commander Alex Brooks had returned from his diplomatic missions to lead the orbital defense grid. 12 platforms surrounded Earth, each armed with multiple railgun weapons. "All platforms report ready, Admiral. We have 57 weapons total aimed at 57 different targets." Lisa felt calm settle over her. Humanity had spent 3 weeks preparing for this moment. Every weapon had been tested, every targeting solution had been calculated. Every human crew member understood they were making history. "This is Admiral Carter to all human forces," she announced. "The Council fleet is in optimal firing position. All weapons fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." 57 railgun weapons fired simultaneously. The combined electrical discharge was visible from space, as every human platform and ship channeled massive power into magnetic coils. Tungsten projectiles accelerated to 95% of light speed and streaked across space faster than any alien sensor could track. Admiral Zektar had exactly 1.3 seconds to realize what was happening before the first projectile hit his flagship. The tungsten slug punched through the ship's energy shields like they were made of paper. Advanced alien armor that could deflect plasma beams and particle weapons offered no protection against solid matter traveling at near light speed. The Krell flagship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was the most powerful warship in the galaxy. The next moment it was an expanding cloud of vaporized metal and plastic. Admiral Zektar and his crew of 3,000 aliens died so quickly they never knew what hit them. Across the Council formation, 56 more ships suffered the same fate. Massive dreadnoughts that had ruled space lanes for centuries were reduced to glowing debris in seconds. Energy weapons that could crack planets had no chance to fire. Defensive systems that had never failed before proved useless against simple kinetic weapons. The surviving Council ships reacted with panic and confusion. They had never faced weapons like this before. Their tactical computers had no protocols for defending against projectiles traveling at light speed. Some ships tried to retreat. Others attempted to return fire. Most simply floated in space while their crews tried to understand what had happened. Second volley ready, Beth reported from her platform, targeting the ships attempting to retreat. Fire, at will, Lisa ordered. Show them that running won't save them. The human weapons fired again. More Council ships vanished in flashes of vaporized metal. The aliens discovered that their fastest ships could barely reach 10% of light speed. They had no hope of outrunning projectiles traveling at 95% of light speed. Ambassador Veltar transmitted desperately from his command ship. Humans cease fire immediately. We surrender. Repeat, we surrender. Do not fire again. Lisa considered the aliens' plea. The Council had enslaved species across the galaxy for thousands of years. They had turned proud civilizations into mindless workers. They had threatened to do the same to humanity just minutes before. Ambassador Veltar. Lisa replied, Your surrender is noted. Order all Council ships to shut down their weapons and shields. Any ship that fails to comply will be destroyed. Across the alien fleet, weapons powered down and defensive screens collapsed. The mighty Council armada floated helpless before 57 human railgun weapons. In less than 10 minutes, the balance of galactic power had shifted completely. Jake's voice came over the communication channel. Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Species that were enslaved by the Council are declaring independence. The Vec people have seized their homeworld. The Talshi have overthrown their Council governors. It's happening everywhere. Lisa nodded. Word of the Council's defeat was spreading faster than light through quantum communication networks. For the first time in millennia, the oppressed species of the galaxy saw hope. If primitive humans could destroy the Council fleet, then freedom was possible for everyone. Attention all Council ships, Lisa announced. You will form into groups of 100 vessels and return to your home systems immediately. Any attempt to regroup or coordinate military action will result in the complete destruction of your species. Humanity now possesses the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, and we will use them to ensure galactic freedom. The alien ships began forming into retreat formations. Proud admirals who had commanded respect throughout the galaxy now followed orders from a human female they had dismissed as primitive just hours before. Amy Johnson appeared on Lisa's command screen from the main defense platform. Admiral, our sensors are detecting quantum transmissions from dozens of species requesting alliance with humanity. They want to trade for railgun technology. Lisa looked out at the stars and thought about the future. Humanity had sought only to defend itself, but had accidentally started a galactic revolution. The Council's reign of technological suppression was ending. The age of human innovation was beginning. Send replies to all species requesting alliance, Lisa ordered. Tell them humanity is willing to share railgun technology with any civilization that commits to freedom and self-determination. The galaxy belongs to all thinking beings, not just the powerful few. As the last council ships disappeared into hyperspace, Lisa realized that silence had fallen across the galaxy. For 5,000 years, space had been filled with the council's commands and threats. Now that voice was gone. In its place came something new. The voices of free species speaking for themselves. The day humanity fired its first railgun, the galaxy had indeed fallen silent. But from that silence grew the sound of liberation echoing across 1 trillion stars. Admiral Zektar of the Krell battle fleet had lived for 300 years and fought in dozens of campaigns. He had seen energy weapons that could boil oceans and gravity bombs that could crack moons in half. But he had never seen anything like the sensor readings from the destroyed Arcturus dreadnought. The quantum communicator had transmitted data for exactly 0.7 seconds before the ship's destruction. In that brief time, it had recorded energy signatures that made no sense. The attacking projectile had possessed no energy weapons, no particle beams, no plasma charges. It was simply a piece of metal moving at impossible speed. Zektar stood in the war room of his flagship, surrounded by holographic displays showing the weapon data. His forearms gestured at different charts while his compound eyes analyzed multiple data streams simultaneously. Other council military leaders attended. The emergency meeting through quantum links from across the galaxy explained to me how a primitive kinetic weapon achieved 95% light speed. Zektar clicked in the buzzing language of his people. Our scientists claim this is impossible using any known technology. Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrians floated in his chair, looking more worried than any being present had ever seen him. The elegant alien's usual calm was completely shattered. Our analysis confirms the weapon used magnetic acceleration, but the power requirements would exceed the output of most star systems. How could the humans generate such energy, General? Thex of the Mordok Empire displayed tactical projections. The reptilian warrior's scales had turned dark red, indicating extreme agitation. The method matters less than the result. This projectile penetrated our most advanced defensive systems without slowing down. Our energy shields cannot stop solid matter at these velocities. The floating gas, being known as Counselor Mist, spoke in its wind-like voice. We have maintained galactic peace for 5 millennia by controlling advanced technologies. No species has ever developed weapons outside our approved parameters. The humans have broken this fundamental law. Zektar studied the tactical data again. The tungsten projectile had been small and simple, just refined metal shaped into an aerodynamic form, but traveling at near light speed, it had carried more destructive force than the largest council warships. A single hit from such a weapon could destroy any ship in their fleet. What do we know about human military capabilities? Zektar asked. Ambassador Veltar consulted his data files. According to our observers, the humans have complied with all Galactic Accord restrictions. Their largest warships are primitive chemical rocket vessels. Their weapons are limited to kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives. We detected no energy weapons or gravity manipulation technology. Obviously, our intelligence was wrong, General Thex hissed. The humans have been developing forbidden technology in secret. This magnetic cannon proves they possess industrial capabilities far beyond what they have shown us. Counselor Mist's gaseous form swirled with agitation. We must determine how many of these weapons the humans possess. If they have built more, then we face a serious threat to Council authority. Zektar activated a galaxy-wide communication system. Within minutes, military commanders from hundreds of Council species were connected to the emergency session. The scope of the gathering was unprecedented. Never before had the Council mobilized its entire military force for a single threat. Honored commanders, Zektar announced, the human species has violated the Galactic Accords by developing weapons of mass destruction. Intelligence suggests they possess magnetic acceleration cannons capable of destroying our largest vessels. We must respond with overwhelming force before they can produce more of these weapons. Admiral Sektar of the Vorthon Navy spoke first. What are our orders? Do we pacify the humans like we did the Arcturus people? Pacification may not be possible, Ambassador Veltar replied. The humans have shown they can destroy our ships. If they possess multiple weapons, we could lose significant forces in any direct assault. General Thex's tactical displays showed human space surrounded by red enemy markers. I propose we assemble the largest fleet in galactic history, every available warship from every council species. If the humans have 10 of these weapons, we will bring 10,000 ships. If they have 100 weapons, we will bring 100,000 ships. Zektar felt grim satisfaction. The council had maintained power through superior technology and overwhelming force. Individual species might develop dangerous weapons, but they could never match the combined might of hundreds of civilizations. Very well, Zektar decided. Operation Final Peace is hereby authorized. All council species will contribute their largest and most powerful warships. We will assemble a fleet of 10,000 vessels and proceed to human space. The humans will surrender their magnetic weapon technology or face complete extermination. Meanwhile, in the underground laboratory on Earth, Dr. Lisa Carter received an urgent message from Captain Jake Morrison. His face on the communication screen looked pale and frightened. "Lisa, you need to evacuate the facility immediately. My contacts at the alien station report massive military movements. Ships are arriving from all over the galaxy. I've never seen so many warships in one place." Lisa felt her heart sink. "How many ships, Jake?" "Thousands, Lisa. Maybe 10,000. Every species in the council is sending their most powerful vessels. They're calling it the largest military force in galactic history." Ryan Foster looked up from his workbench where he had been assembling another railgun. "How long do we have?" 3 weeks, maybe 4, Jake replied. "It takes time to coordinate that many ships from different species, but when they move, they'll be coming straight for Earth." Lisa gathered her team around the main planning table. The success of their weapon test had given them hope. Now that hope was being crushed by the reality of facing the entire galaxy in battle. "We have 3 prototype railguns completed," Amy reported. "The Independence has 1. We have 2 more in orbital platforms around Earth, but that's not nearly enough to stop 10,000 alien warships." Lisa stared at the tactical projections. Even if every human railgun shot hit its target, they could only destroy 3 ships. The remaining alien fleet would reduce Earth to radioactive ash within hours. "We need more weapons," Lisa decided. "We need to turn every orbital factory and shipyard into a railgun production facility. We need to build dozens of weapons in the next 3 weeks. Ryan shook his head. "It's impossible, Lisa. Each railgun requires months of precision manufacturing. The superconducting coils alone take weeks to fabricate properly." "Then we don't build precision weapons," Lisa replied. "We build crude ones. Simple magnetic coils that can accelerate metal slugs to high velocity. They won't be as powerful as the equalizer, but they'll still be effective." President Helen Martinez appeared on the communication system from the White House Situation Room. Behind her, Lisa could see military advisors and government officials working frantically. "Dr. Carter, I'm authorizing total mobilization. Every industrial facility on Earth and in the colonies will be converted to weapons production. We have 3 weeks to prepare for the largest military force in galactic history. How many railguns can we build in that time?" Lisa ran quick calculations. "If we simplify the design and use every manufacturing facility, we might manage 50 weapons, maybe 75 if we're lucky." "Do it," the president ordered, "and prepare evacuation plans for Earth's population. If we lose this battle, I want as many humans as possible to survive on the colony worlds." As the communication ended, Lisa looked around the laboratory that had become humanity's last hope. In 3 weeks, the most powerful military force in galactic history would arrive at Earth. Humanity would face them with whatever weapons they could build and whatever courage they could find. The fate of human civilization now depended on magnetic coils and metal projectiles traveling at impossible speeds. Lieutenant Colonel Beth Parker stood on the bridge of the Independence and tried to stay calm. The ship looked like an ordinary mining vessel from the outside. Its hull was painted with fake company logos, and its cargo bays appeared to be full of asteroid mining equipment. But hidden deep inside the ship was the most powerful weapon humanity had ever built. The equalizer railgun stretched through 3 decks of the Independence. Massive superconducting coils wrapped around a 200-meter-long barrel. Power cables as thick as a man's waist connected the weapon to the ship's fusion reactor. When fired, the railgun would channel more electrical energy than most planets used in a year. Dr. Lisa Carter floated in zero gravity beside the main control panel. She had spent the last 6 months installing and testing every component personally. Her hands shook slightly as she made final adjustments to the targeting computer. They only had one chance to get this right. Ryan Foster drifted past, checking the magnetic field generators for the 100th time. The young engineer had barely slept in weeks. Dark circles under his eyes showed the strain of preparing for this moment. All systems show green, Lisa. The coils are supercooled and the power grid is stable. We're ready to fire on your command. Captain, Jake Morrison's voice came through the communication system from his ship orbiting nearby. Independence, this is New Horizons. I have visual confirmation on the target. The Arcturus dreadnought is exactly where my intelligence said it would be. Beth looked at the tactical display. The target was a massive alien warship drifting in space 50,000 kilometers away. It had once belonged to the proud Arcturus civilization. Now it was a lifeless hulk that the Council used for training exercises. Council military units practiced attacking and boarding the ancient ship to learn how to defeat any species that dared to resist. The dreadnought was perfect for their test. It was heavily armored with the best defensive technology the Arcturus people had possessed. If the Equalizer could destroy that ship, it could destroy anything in the Council fleet. Lisa. Beth said quietly, "Are you absolutely certain this will work? If we miss or if the weapon fails, the Council will know humans are developing forbidden technology. They'll send a pacification fleet to Earth within weeks." Lisa checked her calculations one more time. The math was simple, but the execution was incredibly complex. A tungsten projectile weighing 10 kilograms would be accelerated through the magnetic barrel until it reached 95% of light speed. At that velocity, the projectile would carry kinetic energy equivalent to 1,000 nuclear weapons. The theory is sound, Beth. Every test firing in the underground laboratory worked perfectly. The only difference is scale. This shot will be 1,000 times more powerful than anything we've tested before. Amy Johnson monitored the power systems from the engineering deck. Reactor output is at maximum. All power is being channeled to the railgun capacitors. We'll have exactly 37 seconds of full power before the system overloads. Beth activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. Stand by for weapons test. Secure all loose objects and prepare for massive power drain. This is not a drill. The Independence had been built in secret at a hidden shipyard in the asteroid belt. Officially, it was registered as a commercial mining vessel. In reality, it was humanity's first true warship. Every system had been designed around the massive railgun hidden in its core. Target acquired, Ryan announced. Firing solution computed and locked. The projectile will impact the dreadnought's main hull section in approximately 10 minutes at current range. Lisa took a deep breath. Everything they had worked for came down to this moment. If the test succeeded, humanity would possess a weapon that could threaten the Galactic Council. If it failed, they would remain helpless slaves waiting for eventual pacification. Beth, Lisa said, "I'm ready to fire on your command." Beth looked around the bridge. Her crew was made up of volunteers who understood they might not survive this mission. If the railgun's magnetic fields fluctuated even slightly, the entire ship could be torn apart. If the power systems failed during firing, the reactor could overload and vaporize them instantly. "Fire the equalizer," Beth ordered. Lisa pressed the firing button. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then every light on the ship flickered as the railgun drew power from the reactor. The hull vibrated as massive electrical currents flowed through the superconducting coils. Warning alarms began sounding as systems throughout the ship overloaded. In the railgun barrel, a tungsten projectile no larger than a coffee cup accelerated from rest to 95% of light speed in less than 2 seconds. The magnetic forces acting on the projectile were so intense they would have crushed any normal material into powder. But tungsten was one of the hardest metals known, and the projectile held together. The projectile left the barrel and streaked across space, faster than any human-made object had ever traveled. It was invisible to the naked eye, but the Independence's sensors tracked its path. In exactly 9 minutes and 14 seconds, it would impact the Arcturus dreadnought. Shot fired successfully, Ryan reported. All magnetic coils are intact. Power systems are overloaded but stable. The projectile is on target and traveling at 5.3% of light speed. Beth felt relief flood through her. The weapon had fired without destroying the Independence. Now they had to wait and see if it would destroy the target. Jake's voice came over the radio. Independence, I'm reading massive energy signatures from your location. What kind of weapon did you just fire? My sensors are going crazy. Something new. Jake, Beth replied. Something the galaxy has never seen before. The minutes passed slowly. Amy reported that the reactor was shutting down to prevent overload. Emergency power would keep life support running, but the ship would be defenseless for several hours. If Council ships appeared now, the Independence would be helpless. Impact in 30 seconds, Ryan announced. The projectile is holding course and speed. No degradation in velocity detected. Everyone on the bridge watched the tactical display. The Arcturus dreadnought appeared as a green dot surrounded by technical data. It was a beautiful ship, even in death. Graceful curves and elegant lines showed the artistic nature of its builders. In a few seconds, it would be nothing but expanding debris. Impact in 10 seconds, Ryan counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, impact. For a heartbeat, nothing changed on the display. Then the green dot representing the dreadnought flared, brilliant white. The flash was so bright it overloaded the Independence's optical sensors. When the glare faded, there was nothing left where the massive alien ship had been. Target destroyed, Ryan said in a voice filled with wonder. Complete destruction. The dreadnought has been vaporized. I'm detecting expanding debris clouds, but no piece larger than a spacesuit. Lisa stared at the empty space where a ship larger than a city had existed moments before. The equalizer had worked beyond their most optimistic projections. The tungsten projectile had struck with such force that it hadn't just penetrated the dreadnought's armor. It had completely annihilated the ship down to individual atoms. My God, Beth whispered. We actually did it. We built a weapon that can destroy anything the Council has. But none of them knew that the Arcturus dreadnought had contained something important. Hidden deep in its core was a quantum communicator that connected to every Council facility in the galaxy. In the microseconds before the ship's destruction, the communicator had transmitted detailed sensor readings of the Railgun's energy signature to hundreds of alien worlds. For the first time in 5,000 years, the Galactic Council faced a weapon they had never seen before, a weapon they did not understand, a weapon they could not stop. The galaxy was about to change forever. 6 months had passed since humanity signed the Galactic Accords. To the watching aliens, everything seemed normal. Human ships followed all the rules. Their weapons stayed within the limits. Their colonies grew slowly under Council supervision. But deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, something very different was happening. Dr. Lisa Carter stood in a laboratory that officially did not exist. The facility had been carved from solid rock 2 miles underground. No alien sensors could detect it. No Council observers knew about it. President Helen Martinez had authorized the project with a single order: find out what the aliens were really hiding. The laboratory buzzed with activity. Dozens of Earth's best scientists worked around the clock. They had alien technology to study. Pieces of equipment that Captain Jake Morrison had quietly collected during his diplomatic missions. Metal fragments that Commander Alex Brooks had recovered from alien ship exhaust. Even clothing fibers from alien ambassadors that human intelligence had analyzed. Ryan Foster looked up from his workbench. The young engineer had been working for 18 hours straight. His hands were covered in burns from alien power cells that discharged in unexpected ways. Lisa, you need to see this. I finally got one of their energy weapons to work. Lisa hurried over. On the bench lay what looked like a curved piece of blue metal. It had taken Ryan 3 weeks to figure out how to activate it. The weapon had belonged to a Council security guard who thought he had lost it during a station tour. Watch this, Ryan said. He pointed the weapon at a steel target 50 feet away. When he activated it, a beam of pure energy lanced out. The steel didn't just melt. It vanished. The beam carved a hole completely through the target and burned a smoking crater in the rock wall behind it. "My God," Lisa whispered. "That's not a defensive weapon. That thing could cut through a battleship." Dr. Amy Johnson walked over carrying a data pad. The physicist had been analyzing alien ship recordings for months. "It gets worse, Lisa. I've been studying their propulsion systems. They're not using rocket engines at all. They manipulate gravity itself. One of their larger ships could create a gravity field strong enough to crush a planet." Lisa felt sick. The Galactic Accords claimed that all advanced technologies were restricted to prevent warfare, but the aliens possessed weapons that could destroy entire worlds. Meanwhile, humans were limited to chemical rockets and metal bullets. A communication alert chimed. Jake Morrison's face appeared on the laboratory's main screen. He was calling from his ship near the alien station. Behind him, Lisa could see the bridge of the New Horizons, but Jake looked tired and worried. "Lisa, we have a problem," Jake said quietly. "I've been asking questions about galactic history like you requested. The aliens don't like it, but I finally found someone willing to talk. A maintenance worker from a species called the Vec. They've been slaves to the Council for 200 years. "Slaves?" Lisa asked. "The Council said all species were equal partners." Jake's expression grew grim. "That's not true, Lisa. This Vec worker told me about the Arcturus civilization. They were a proud species that refused to sign the Accords 500 years ago. They tried to develop their own advanced technology. The Council declared them a threat to galactic peace." Ryan and Amy moved closer to hear. Other scientists in the laboratory stopped their work to listen. "What happened to them, Jake?" Lisa asked, though she was afraid of the answer. "The Council sent a pacification fleet, hundreds of ships with planet-killer weapons. The Arcturus people fought back for 3 years, but they never had a chance. Their weapons couldn't even scratch Council ships. In the end, the Council didn't destroy them. They did something worse." Lisa waited. Jake took a deep breath before continuing. "They used biological weapons, Lisa. Not to kill, but to change. The Arcturus people still exist, but they're not really alive anymore. The Council turned them into living robots. They can't think for themselves. They can't question orders. They just work until they die, and their children are born the same way." The laboratory fell silent. Everyone understood what Jake was really saying. The Galactic Council wasn't a peaceful organization. It was the empire built on enslaving younger species. The Accords weren't about preventing war. They were about preventing resistance. "Jake," Lisa said, "we need you to find out more about Council military capabilities and see if you can get us more alien technology to study. We're working on something here that might change everything." After ending the call, Lisa gathered her team around the main workbench. For months they had been trying to understand alien technology. Now they needed to surpass it. "Listen, everyone," Lisa said. "We can't beat the aliens by copying their weapons. They've had thousands of years to perfect energy beams and gravity manipulation, but maybe we don't need to copy them. Maybe we need to think differently." Ryan picked up a piece of alien armor. It was incredibly strong and could deflect any energy weapon humans had ever built. But when he examined it closely, he noticed something interesting. "Lisa, this armor is designed to stop energy attacks, but what about kinetic weapons? Good old-fashioned bullets moving really fast?" Amy ran calculations on her computer. "The faster a projectile moves, the more kinetic energy it carries. If we could accelerate a metal slug to near light speed, it would hit with the force of a nuclear bomb. And there's no energy field that can stop solid matter moving at those speeds." Lisa felt excitement building. Human technology was primitive, compared to alien energy weapons. But humans had always been good at one thing: taking simple ideas and pushing them to extreme limits. "What would we need to accelerate a projectile to those speeds?" Lisa asked. Amy smiled for the first time in weeks. "Magnetic fields. Really powerful magnetic fields. We'd need enormous amounts of electrical power and superconducting coils. But it's possible, Lisa. We could build a magnetic cannon that fires metal projectiles at 90% of light speed." Ryan was already sketching designs. "We could mount it on a spaceship, channel the entire reactor output into the magnetic coils, It would only get one shot before overloading, but that one shot would be devastating. Lisa looked around the laboratory, at her team of brilliant scientists. They had discovered something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. A weapon that used simple physics instead of exotic alien technology. A weapon that the Council had never seen before and wouldn't know how to stop. We're going to build it, Lisa decided. We're going to build the most powerful magnetic cannon in galactic history, and we're going to show the Council that human ingenuity is worth more than 1,000 years of their advanced technology. The project had a name now. Operation Thunderbolt. In the depths of an underground laboratory, humanity began building the weapon that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel New Horizons and watched the most amazing sight he had ever seen. The massive space station stretched across his view screen like a metal city floating in the darkness of space. Lights twinkled from thousands of windows and docking bays. Ships of strange designs moved in perfect patterns around the station like dancers following music only they could hear. This was humanity's first meeting with the Galactic Council. After 300 years of dreaming about meeting other intelligent life, humans had finally built ships fast enough to reach the stars. Jake felt proud and nervous at the same time. He represented all of Earth in this moment. Dr. Lisa Carter walked up beside him and pointed at the alien ships. Look at those designs, Jake. They use technologies we can barely imagine. Some of those ships seem to bend space around them instead of using rocket engines. Commander Alex Brooks joined them at the viewing window. He wore his best military uniform, with all his medals polished bright. Those aren't just transport ships, Lisa. I can see weapon systems on most of them. Very advanced weapon systems. Jake nodded. The aliens had been polite in their first radio messages, but they had also been very clear. Humans were welcome to visit, but they must follow all rules exactly. No weapons were allowed on the New Horizons, except for basic defense systems. A voice came over the communication system. It sounded musical and strange. Human vessel New Horizons, please follow the guide ships to docking bay 774. Welcome to Central Station. 3 alien ships appeared near them. They looked like crystal spears that glowed with soft blue light. The ships moved without any visible engines or exhaust. They simply glided through space as if swimming through water. Jake gave the order to follow. The New Horizons felt clumsy and loud compared to the alien guide ships. Human engines roared and pushed them forward with chemical reactions and hot gas. The alien ships moved in complete silence. The docking bay was enormous. It could have held 12 ships the size of New Horizons with room to spare. As soon as they landed, alien creatures began gathering outside. Jake could see them through the windows. Some looked like tall, thin humans with pale blue skin. Others looked like giant insects walking on 2 legs. There were creatures that seemed to be made of living metal, and others that floated in the air without wings. Remember, everyone, Jake said to his crew. We represent all of humanity today. Be respectful, but stay alert. We don't know what we're walking into. The airlock opened and Jake stepped out first. The artificial gravity felt normal and the air smelled clean with a hint of something like flowers. A group of aliens approached them. The leader was one of the tall, blue-skinned beings. It wore flowing robes that seemed to change color as it moved. Greetings, humans, the alien said. Its voice was beautiful like singing. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian people. We speak for the Galactic Council in welcoming your species to the community of civilized worlds. Jake bowed slightly. Thank you, Ambassador Veltar. I am Captain Jake Morrison. This is Dr. Lisa Carter, our chief scientist, and Commander Alex Brooks, our military representative. The ambassador smiled, but Jake noticed the expression didn't reach its large, silver eyes. Please follow us to the council chambers. There is much to discuss about humanity's place in the galaxy. They walked through corridors that seemed to be made of living crystal. The walls pulsed with soft light, and Jake could swear he heard them humming quietly. Other aliens watched them pass. Some looked curious, but others seemed unfriendly. A few, made sounds that might have been laughter but didn't sound pleasant. The council chamber was vast with a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside. Hundreds of different alien species sat in curved rows, looking down at a central platform. Jake had never imagined so many different forms of life could exist. Some aliens looked almost human, while others were so strange he couldn't figure out which end was their head. Ambassador Veltar led them to the center platform. "Members of the Galactic Council," the ambassador announced. "I present the delegation from the species known as humans from the planet they call Earth." A massive insect creature stood up. It had 4 arms and eyes like black gems. When it spoke, its voice buzzed like angry bees. "I am General Crix of the Krell Military Command. We have studied your species humans. You are very young and very violent. Your history shows constant warfare and destruction." Alex stepped forward. "With respect, General Crix, all species have violent histories. What matters is what we do now and in the future." The insect general's mandibles clicked together. "Indeed. Which is why the Galactic Council has prepared the sacred accords for your species to sign. These accords will ensure peace and prevent the spread of dangerous technologies." Ambassador Veltar produced a device that projected glowing text into the air. "The Galactic Accords have maintained peace in our galaxy for over 5,000 years. Every civilized species has agreed to these terms." Lisa studied the floating text. Her face grew concerned as she read. The accords were not what she had expected. Humans would be limited to primitive technologies, no advanced weapons, no military ships larger than a certain size. No research into faster-than-light communication or energy weapons. All human colonies would be monitored by council observers. "These restrictions seem very limiting," Lisa said carefully. "Other species clearly have advanced technologies. Why can't humans develop the same capabilities?" A floating blob of what looked like living gas spoke. Its voice sounded like wind through caves. "Young species must be guided. You lack the wisdom to handle advanced technology safely. In time, perhaps you will prove worthy of greater knowledge." Alex felt anger rising but kept his voice calm. "What happens if we don't sign these accords?" The chamber fell silent. "General," Crix's eyes glittered. "Species that refuse the accords choose to remain outside civilized space. They receive no protection from the Council, no trade rights, no assistance if they face threats. They remain alone in a dangerous galaxy." Jake looked at his companions. They had traveled so far hoping to join a community of peaceful alien civilizations. Instead, they found themselves facing an ultimatum. Sign away humanity's freedom to develop or remain isolated and unprotected. Ambassador Veltar's smile never wavered. "Take time to consider humans. You have 3 days to decide. We are certain you will make the wise choice. The council chamber has been prepared for your stay. All your needs will be provided." As they were led away, Jake noticed something troubling. The alien guards escorting them carried weapons that looked far more advanced than anything described in the accords. Energy rifles that hummed with power, personal shields that shimmered around their bodies, devices that could probably destroy a city. Either the aliens were hypocrites who didn't follow their own rules, or the accords were designed to keep younger species weak and dependent. Neither possibility made Jake feel good about humanity's future in the galaxy.